Level 1, we all know, we've been there. It's very foggy. You're just writing something. This is what, you usually, other mentors or other academies say that कुछ भी भर के आ जाओ. Don't just leave things. कुछ भी लिख दो वहाँ पे. Keyword match कर दो. This is what we used to do in engineering also. Level 2 is when, you're slightly coming out of age. You understand both sides. You know what, it's like you've read things so much. It's your rote learning personified for UPSC. Now you know things. Now if I ask you, hey, social media, like yes, deepfakes, AI, falana, dikana, सब कुछ पटक दो सब कुछ. Level 3 is when you start showing your maturity in everything. None of this is rocket science. It's just a matter of rigorous practice and your attention. So level 1 is like one-sided, but you use UPSC terms and you're good. Level 1 तो सबको होना चाहिए across all the subjects. तो level 1 भी achieve नहीं है तो दिक्कत है, and that's problem. UAP students who are here, make sure you're this sharp. Level 2 is where you add basic duality, add basic level tasks, as we realize, basic thesis and antithesis, basic stuff. And opposite views with examples, preferably from the modern times. So even at level 2, you can use that IES example or whatever examples you're seeing in your current affairs, whatever, everyday newspaper or weekly compilation, Samachar Manthan, or burning issues if you're studying from us. Level 3, but this is level 4. Hi everyone, good evening. I hope I'm audible to you as you're joining in. I got me. Okay, lot of familiar names. And if you guys are comfortable, or as you get more comfortable during the session, please open your videos. Like I always say, it helps me look at your faces, gives me a good, quick feedback onto if I'm making sense to you or not. And just a quick show of hand, not hand or maybe something on the typing. How many of you are UAP 26 students? How many of you are SMASH 26? And how many of you have just joined the essay program? Whoever, if camera is not working, that's perfectly fine, yeah. जिसका भी कर रहा है ना, just helps me put things into perspective. We'll just wait for like kind of 1 more minute. How many of you have actually written mains 2025 abhi, and you've just joined the essay course? Is there anyone who's written mains just like last week? No one. Okay, cool. Okay. How many of you were there for my offline seminar, which I took last week? Okay, great, awesome. I hope that was good. I hope that kind of gave you a sense of the possibility which lie not just in essay, but fundamentally in developing your critical thinking. So I'm going to progress with this series of webinars and workshops. I'll try to take a few offline as well. I'll give you guys a heads up much in advance. But the idea that I want you to inculcate right now, okay, before your December, before the time when you devote to prelims, is that this critical thinking ability is something which we've been missing from schools and colleges. Okay, I mean, they are to be blamed for that. Having said that, it's something which you can adopt and develop jaldi. Okay, trust me. So the small quiz or the small Google form which I had put up there was just to give you a sense of key what varied answers people are giving and try to show you some structures inherent in those answers, so that you understand as you study with me for the essay, and most of you would be studying in the SMASH mains program as well. And the UAP kids, you're going to be studying from beginner to advanced level with us. Those are the North Star metrics, जो अभी आज discuss होंगे. So a good chunk of this first class will be about the core basic essential things. We'll not be talking about tasks abhi. Then we'll take up some PYQs and let's see how many we can take up, especially from this year. And we'll try to do this thing, unpack metaphor, uncover the assumptions. So it will be a freewheeling session. Okay. That is going to help you settle down with the chaos, which is essay and which is UPSC. And trust me, it's going to help you with everything in GS as you prepare further. And I try hard to get some good tropes so that you guys are not bored in my sessions. तो आज का trope है, रुको, I mean analogies and tropes. Okay, you guys have been to your ophthalmologist, right? सबके चश्मे लगे हुए हैं आधी जनता के, and so this is how the testing starts. ठीक है, this is the first thing, the first screen you see, and then this is like the foggy thing, and then this is the eventual aha moment, right? You see the focus. You can see everything, that balloon, that car, the zebra crossing or whatever, the divider, poles on the road, but अभी इधर कुछ दिख नहीं रहा था. ठीक है, because everyone attempted the question which I asked: social media is good for Indian democracy or not, and character is forged in freedom or constraint. Everyone understands what the question demands, broadly speaking. So everyone paints a picture which at least looks like this. There was hardly anyone, there were few people who could not write jack shit on that. But barring them, almost everyone was able to give me something. This is where few could reach. And there's another level that we unlock, which all of us should strive to reach now that we have time in our hand. Okay, that's where we are. This is something I posted on the larger Letter and Spirit community as well. And it's just a snapshot. I got like close to 100 plus replies on that. This is just a quick snapshot. And I just want to take some time with it. Okay, slowly, bit by bit. Some people just wrote one word answer. Okay, it's had strengthened democracy due to ease accessibility to information. And देखो इनमें से कुछ भी there's nothing wrong in here. ठीक है, there are just levels of critical thinking that you guys have unlocked or not. Social media is a medium for forming a connection with people individually or collectively over internet. Social media impacts on life is well documented. You see, this is all either definition or just, I don't know, that's the overture to the main answer. होता है ना, we sing orchestra before we actually give the thing. और वो यूपीएससी में नहीं करना होता. You have 150 words. You have to make your point clear, crystal, and you can't muck around. But nothing wrong here. Okay, social media is a double-edged sword. This is some of the attempts were like, they were people who were trying to balance their answers. Then there was this, and I'm not writing anyone's name. So then there was this thing, which kind of, if you remember, there was a question we discussed that history is a series of victory of scientific man over the, or there was a question on the self-realization is now technologically outsourced. And we were talking a lot about social media and whatnot. Basically, we're trying to blame technology. And one of the crucial point which came in our discussion on that essay topic was that, hey, tech has this thing that, when it comes and it takes things on the stride, it advances first far ahead. And then the humanity or the justice or other ethics or whatever catches up. तो ये उसका trait है. It's a trait with tech. All technological advances are like that. You can like note this point. So there's some concepts that you need to note which are beyond intuition or could be intuition if you read a lot. Tech has always seen humanity catching up to it. Okay? Or tech was used first in some cases and then another. Just say यहाँ पे someone wrote the example of dynamite was used for what and now it's used for so many good uses, right? Or now we have institutions which regulate the use of certain technologies. CFCs we talked about back then. CFCs for use in fridges. Refrigeration to abhi bhi hai, but now we use alternate medias and so on and so forth for everything. Okay. Some people went into the depth of examples which are more relevant, which push their point with more evidence. And some people try to take a philosophical high. Social media embodies a fundamental duality, and moreover, one wouldn't recognize the pros without the cons. Okay. And this is where the dynamite paradox of dynamite. So some people, and I'm sure either you're, good learners or you've been part of the community or part of the system and have read the PDFs which I've been sharing well, you understand that these are paradoxes which you have to negotiate and navigate. ठीक है, पैराडॉक्सेस फिजिक्स में होते हैं. किसी को याद है कोई पैराडॉक्स जो फिजिक्स में पढ़ा हो? एनीवन इंजीनियर ओवर हियर? फिजिक्स के पैराडॉक्स, ट्विन पैराडॉक्स. यस, twin paradox is a very important paradox. Or come on, has to be. There have to be engineers. I've spoken with few. Xenos, yes, philosophy, Hermes. Cool. So you get the drift. There will be so many more. And paradoxes have to be taken care of very, very finely. तो अभी क्या करते हैं ना? We'll go step by step. I'll take you to the level one answers. Okay, which most of the people would have written in their early days. Okay, and level one, level two, level three. These are like increasing order of your understanding put down on paper. Okay, have that in the mindset. So level one, and given the analogy of the ophthalmologist visit, is foggy. On level one, you're mostly opinionated. There are a lot of slogans, there are a lot of rhetorics. Something which you've been hearing in the media, something which you've been hearing from your friends, something which is got stuck in you. But the good point which I forgot to write over here is that mostly you stick to the UPSC verbiage. So that's one good point. If you're not even doing that, then it's level zero, you're out of the race completely. Okay. Am I making sense? So answers and no, this is the question, right? So the question is, has social media strengthened or weakened democracy in India? And people who want to write on comment, you're free to write if you haven't attempted that question back there. You'll see that there is no balance. In the sense, you might touch on the pros and cons both, but it's heavily tilted toward one side. Okay. There is no structure. And I'll come to what structure means. And structure is not just IBC, intro, body, paragraph. Structure is something how you put your thought down. Structure is that framework of tasks. Okay. There is no evidence, by which I mean that there are no examples given, real examples given. Even if they're given, they're just dropped. And this is classic problem with most of us who in real life, you know, the moment we graduate from level 0 to level 1, we just know that, we have to name drop a lot of things so as to appear intelligent. Or, when the content is so much out there in the market, we just mug up a few things and we drop there. And I see this a lot in our essay attempts. We just drop Kantian imperative, we just drop Plato's image, ideas, cave. We just drop the things, hoping that, the examiner will make sense of it. There's no tying back things to the main thesis. So this is level 1. Nothing much to discuss here. This is the level 2, which is the first time when I see focus, I see balance, but at surface level. Most of us are here. Okay. Social media is a double-edged sword. It has both its benefits and disadvantages. Strengthening democracy, voice of the marginalized, differing perspectives, every voice represented, weakening democracy, echo chambers, cancel culture, troll farms, hate speech. How many of you over here uh, identify with this? How many of you identify with this? कि कभी ना कभी ऐसा लिखा होगा, yeah, I still write. I mean, there's no, trust me, this is good. This is balanced. At least you guys are not putting out completely at least you've learned at GS may you have to, put down both the sides and you know the key tag words. Okay. By balance, you don't have to be diplomatic, but you need to know both sides of the coin at some level. You need to know there's another side of the coin. Social media as a medium, its impact on democracy is multifold, strengthens, eases discourse, decentralizes public opinion, opens avenues of communication, weakens, spreads false info, hate speech, minimal accountability. This is where we acknowledge that there are both sides. We acknowledge that there are always dualities at play. Okay? If those of you among here who are very much beginners, okay, who are just starting out with their preparation, you would have intuition about balances. What you might miss still are words like these: voice to the marginalized, echo chambers, cancel culture, troll farms. By the way, these are not vocabulary words. These are just key tag words which are relevant to social media and this discourse. Okay. So as we go further in these essay classes, I'll be taking sessions. Like in one session, I'll be taking a bunch of theories, social media theories, its media theories, etc., etc. And so you'll get familiar with these terms. Okay. Social media, hate speech, false info, I think, deep fake and whatnot. ये सब तो सुना होगा सबने, right? So anyone who's beginner who's able to understand this, please type on the chat. Okay, this is the first focus that you will come to if you're studying any subject, any theme decently. Beginners, everyone, have to type on chat if this is making sense. This is clear to the. Okay, Shivanjali, what? Let me just ask you to unmute. What is still not that comfortable? Batao. You can unmute. I ask you to. Bharti or team, can you unmute Shivanjali?
Yes.
No, I think Shivanjali, there's some issue at your end, maybe. Okay. Anyway, anyone else? Any problem with this? You've been here. Everyone has been here, or we keep coming back to it. By the way, when I say level 1, level 2, and level 3, I don't think that you guys always stay at that level. We keep coming back and forth. Okay? Because for you to stay at level 2, at least you need to know both sides of the coin, and it's better that you know technically those things well. Otherwise, what will happen is you will go back to rhetorics. Level 1 is more rhetorical. Basically, you will say a lot and really mean less. Level 2 at least brings the keywords, the relevant keywords and the jargons into perspective. You getting it? This is something as you get better, you get here. Okay. This is still good. It's average. If you continue this level across your subjects, across everywhere, it's an average score guaranteed. Okay. And by the way, I am not talking about vocabulary or even sentence construction here. I'm just talking about the meat of the matter. Okay. The meat, the depth, not the depth, the meat. Okay. Anyone having any issues with this, please Lico. It's a class. This is not a YouTube video for me. I want you to be at this level. There, what about how many kids are there? 124. You guys are all students with me now. ठीक है किसी को भी कुछ इशू है लिख देना ठीक है so far so good okay and now let's go to the level 3 and we'll stay on this for a while till you guys have it to your bones as I say this is where your focus is clear this is where you begin to understand dialectical reasoning tasks by the way I spoke with a lot of kids who've just finished their mains or over the last 2 months, I was speaking with people, and the good ones, the rankers, like I always say, they always have this thing in them that they're able to apply the dialectic reasoning. You guys also, among the mature ones among you, you're also think like that. ठीक है अब वो उसको कितना we are able to articulate on paper, that's a separate thing. But we think in dialectic terms. So we think structured, we think contextual, and we think dialectic. This is where focus is clear. Now, I'm sure you would have read it by now, but we talk and think about why it matters. Okay? So the issue with social media when it crosses with humanity, like I said, issue with tech when it crosses with humanity is that tech usually had scale and speed as its two principal pillars. Okay? Scale and speed are two big things with tech. And we always end up catching up with it. We are either catching up with it in terms of our uh, laws, in terms of our policies, in terms of our conscience, in terms of the other core human indicators, education, civic sense, whatnot. Right? This is not rocket science, but I'm just putting things into perspective. So, and I just paraphrase things here. Just like any other technological development, social media too has both pros and cons. Due to cheaper internet, platforms like Twitter, X, whatever, became accessible, allowing citizens to make informed choices. But media literacy hasn't evolved. Misinformation spreads quickly, riots can be incited, political parties spread disinformation for electoral gains. Okay? What we've done here, we've added the why. And then with that why, we've added a relevant example. This why is the most crucial thing you guys have to master across the board, not just with essay, with ethics. And in all your GS paper where you're asked to critically examine something. Guys, am I making sense? Or do you want me to reiterate this point? Everyone, this is the fundamental thing. The difference between a level 2 guy who's able to see both sides of the coin and has some theory ka background that he's able to drop the relevant jargons and keywords, and the level 3 guy is your understanding of the why. Just the bold part is the why. हाँ, but पूरा पढ़ लो इसको. ठीक है? So the key tag is fast tech versus slow social evolution. There was a question in essay paper also around this. And I'm not remembering the exact essay question, but there was a question which spoke about, or it had an implied meaning that tech is faster and we catch up very slow. And so what are the issues that happen? Okay. If you understand this fundamental stuff, fast tech versus slow evolution, if you understand this why, then the kind of examples, please tell me. Yeah, there can be many whys. There can be many whys, but please tell me what are the examples which come to your mind? This is a fundamental principle. Tech disrupts faster and humanity catches up slower. ये fundamental rule है. ठीक है ना? What happens? Do you remember any examples out here? Hey, regulation, yeah. But crypto, yes. सिर्फ मुझे keywords मत drop करो. Don't try to be level 1 in your comments. ठीक है अभी तो we've gone to the level 3. Don't try to be level 2 in fact. Try to be level 3. And this is how you should read news also. Remember? When you read news and you read so much of masala, just try to understand the core of what's the problem there. Because that core, that why will become like your star anchor on an answer. Okay, I want most of you guys to attempt now. Tell me that this is the fundamental thing with tech. It catches up, humanity catches up very slow. Every month, a new smartphone brand coming up with new features. Government e-portal in lack of awareness in society. I don't understand that, Shreyansh. Rakshit Shetty, due to the Y2K crisis, there was a sudden demand of COBOL skills, and Indian software companies were able to pitch into so. Yeah. See, you might not put every comment out here on your paper, but this is a way to think about things. I hope that becomes clear. Maybe the boom of deepfakes, which mostly has negative impact on the most vulnerable section of society, where social civilians. Yeah, the fundamental reason why social media is bane, the part where it's bane for society, is because it has exposed our lack of civic sense. It has exposed us as humanity, as a society. There was the same question in essay which we developed 2 months ago. The thing was tech. When we personify tech, that tech is good or tech is bad, that's a it's a weird thing, right? Tech inherently is neutral. It is the people who are wielding the tech. It shows much about them than about the tech, the neutral thing in general. Okay. Yeah. Digital scam and literacy of people impact. Correct. Okay. So you get it, right? This is the why, because of which social media has its backlashes. Now, another thing which you have to master effectively later on is your ability to use analogies, right? जैसे डायनामाइट का यहाँ पे यूज किया है. And by the way, level 3 is not just one single thing. Level 3 is why. Your whys are very clear. You don't write something if you cannot substantiate it. You don't give an example unless and until you can substantiate it analytically with a logic. That's part one. Part two is you're good at analogies. You're good at combining things from one place to another. Okay? By the way, these are not rocket science stuff. This is very much doable only if you practice hard. It's very, very much doable only if you put your mind to it. Okay? You know who has mastered these arts already? These dark arts have been mastered by the All India Uncle Auntie Association. They give analogies like this. कहाँ से लाएंगे आपको पता भी चलेगा, निकल जाएगा. 2 साल और दे दो यूपीएससी को और फिर देखो क्या एनालॉजीज आती हैं. एनालॉजीज कह लो, ताना कह लो, उसको जो भी कह लो, बट दैट्स द थिंग. दैट इज वेयर वी हैव टू हेड टू. And how do these come? This come when we are able to unpack the metaphors properly, when we're able to deep dive with things. जब तुम not just essay is just, I'm not teaching just essays here. I'm teaching you to think critically and think hard on these things so that the same thing gets repeated in other subjects. And this whole process of UPSC prep remains fun. Okay, I'll just read a few comments if there's something interesting. You could not hear who had mastered the analysis. I think someone can drop into the comment. Due to the element of anonymity internet offers, social ethics hasn't. That's such a good point, by the way. Anmol, that's such a good point. By the way, I always maintain this thing as a principal, as a mentor, that I can teach you the level 1, level 2, and close to level 3. But from level 3 onwards, and there's a level 4 also, from level 3 onwards, both you and I will expand in our understanding of life, UPSC, and subjects in general. So that's a great example, which Anmol just pointed out here. Due to the element of anonymity, internet offers social ethics haven't permeated to the parasocial relations. तुम ये point लिख रहे हो, it justifies every shit that is happening on social media. I mean, it justifies क्या मतलब, doesn't justify it, but gives you a context. That's the point. And how many words are these, by the way, if you can count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Just 15 words. This is something, I mean, if you keep practicing it, just 15 words and you've landed a bomb. Okay. And imagine in 150 words, you have to write a 10 marker question. In 250 words, I think you have to write a 15 marker question. In 1200 words, you have to write an essay. If these are the neutron bombs that you're pointing and plotting on your paper, कैसे नहीं आएंगे 140 से ऊपर यार, झक मार के आएंगे, कैसे नहीं आएंगे? In fact, the people who are just going and giving mains, who just wrote mains right now, there's this thing called definition paragraph, right? After your introduction, there's a transition paragraph, a definition paragraph of sorts. You know what's the worst you can do on your definition paragraph? You can keep asking question. What is social media? What is democracy? We're going to That's the worst thing. The best thing is that you give an elevator pitch, like you give to a VC, venture capitalist. An elevator pitch is a 30-second pitch. You get 30 seconds to be in an elevator with the VC, and in 30 seconds, you have to expand on what are you going to do in that essay. How can you do that? How can you possibly do that? If you can put your thesis, antithesis, and synthesis together in a crisp paragraph, right? That is when I know where you're going, right? So this simple question, social media is good for Indian democracy or not? This is the thesis and antithesis. Fast tech versus slow social evolution. Okay, and these are the expansion on that. Great stuff. Okay, I'll just read a few more. Integration of tech into PD system, but many machines are not able to extract its benefit. Okay. Why do you think so many people are not able to extract its benefits? If the integration is solid, then there should be no issue, right? Think. ये सब ऐसे ही है. By the way, essay is so much about doing it right now on the class, as against to just reading the theory back when everything is. And I'm telling you, this is the thing. Chaya, if I don't care if you're beginner or veterans, if you're not able to answer a question in the class, that's a skill you need to hone faster. Social media is organized without an organization. Okay. What you're hinting out is that there is no central authority. The very thing which makes social media democratize, which helps social media democratize information, is the very thing which becomes its pain, right? These are paradoxes. If you can write it like this, if you can think it through like this, these are the points. American boom economy, FOMO effects in social media. Okay, so Karan, like there's this whole angle of psychology that you need to explore, that we need to explore when we're talking about social media. Okay? Whatever psychological experiments that have happened in 60s and 70s and 80s in humans in lab-like conditions, I think 100x of those that potency lies in when you examine situations and people in the social conditions. Okay? That's another chunk of block which we need to study and we need to know. Okay? और ये तो जीपीटी से है पक्का प्रोफेसर आपका ही बट कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है उससे बट इसको इंटरनलाइज कर लेना तब ढंग से लिख के आएगा ठीक है I'm just reading some things back. PU said because of disturbance and crime happened in different strata of society, though tech is running like cheetah, people for their safety and trust till now in their tortoise speed. What is this deeply hinting at? Anyone who can elaborate on this? PU wrote something, but she didn't do good justice of what she wanted to say. You guys can scroll up, I'll just read it out again. What happens when things are moving very fast? Changes are very fast. People are not able to adapt to it. They shrink back. We've seen this happening in history, right? In different ways, we've seen this happening in history. There were Luddites who suddenly started just hating the machines and whatever, right? पढ़े होंगे ना इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन के आसपास you guys have read these things, right? Trust me, the more you start looking at things critically with this perspective, पूरा का पूरा GS एक बार वापस रिवाइज करोगे and you'll have like 10x more points than you have right now. Aftermath of printing press, yes. What was the aftermath of printing press, Anmol? Would you be willing to just speak about it if you know? Can you put your hands up? I'll be happy to unmute you whenever you feel cool. Okay. Okay. So we're all over the places, but it's good stuff. Okay. Anmol, where are you? Yeah. Yep, Anmol. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello, sir. I'm audible.
Yep. Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, so aftermath of printing press was basically that industrial revolution में सारी countryside के लोग started to flood up the urban areas because of obviously industrial revolution and all these people are getting jobs and they're able to make money. But once the technological aspect and the advancement came into and merged with the industrial revolution, suddenly this change came where again the question is फास्ट टेक आ गया बट द स्लो इवोल्यूशन इज कि लोगों का स्किल्स बिकम रिडंडेंट नाउ द डे द स्किल्स बिकम रिडंडेंट देयर इज दिस गैप कि अब मशीन तो है, अब वो फिजिकल लेबर हट गए तो बहुत सारे लोग एक साथ खत्म हो गए, मतलब देयर एम्प्लॉयमेंट गॉट रिड्यूस्ड। इट इज नॉट दैट इट हैज खत्म नहीं हुआ, बट कम हो गया है। अब
Correct.
देयर आर टू चॉइसेस विद दोज पीपल हु हैव लॉस्ट देयर एम्प्लॉयमेंट। फर्स्ट इज दैट दे कैन अपस्किल, and the second is that they can revolt. And obviously, because there is no internet at that time, and there is not this autodidact era is not there that people can learn those skills. There's no
Hmm.
one there to teach them. They're basically left with one particular choice, that to have or to make their bread or to do anything, they have to protest. So that's what happened in
To the printing
anything
press.
with a printing press, power mill, everything that came with
Okay, okay,
technology.
okay, got it. Okay, I have another story, and I heard the story, and so like you said, right? There was an autodidact culture before printing press. People used to get together in some town center or something, and or it would be a broadcast. They listen to it. Basically, there was nothing to read. I mean, except expect a few people, people did not have anything to read. But with printing press, what happened, and you would agree to it, if you have a book by yourself, you can go retreat in silo and you can stay with that content and live
Yeah.
with it.
And one argument can this be also कि after that printing press वगैरह आ गई, तो वो जो romantic era के सारे जो writers थे, that thing again started कि okay, people are getting towards कि अब ये बहुत ज्यादा आगे निकल गए हम सोशल एडवांसमेंट में, तो अब लोग रिट्रीट भी कर रहे हैं रोमांटिसिज्म की
Hmm.
तरफ,
Hmm.
रोमांटिक
Hmm. Hmm.
पीरियड्स जो
Hmm.
वो अभी भी आ रहा है।
So there is this very famous person called Marshall McLuhan, whose theories we studied briefly, at least partially I shared in the free group as well. Uh, and he argues that with every such evolution, with printing press and then whatever, I think radio came and then TV came, and now you have other devices. There has been a shift in how people interact with their world around, how they communicate. And he said a very famous quote that the medium is the message. We think that the message is the message, the content is the message, but it's not. The medium becomes the message in itself.
That's
Okay.
such a great thought, medium concepts.
And great. तो अब कर ले अपने को म्यूट वापस खुद से.
Oh, sorry.
And what happens is that when, because of these heavy essay topics, you or me, or because of the group that we have, and you guys share ideas, and I remember something that I might have read, we go back and do these things. We get to realize those seminal quotes and thoughts which these people would have synthesized together. It's a damn big thing. Medium is the message. किस दिन मैं क्लास में से वैसे भी पढ़ाऊंगा, and I can take an hour on this. ठीक है? It will tell you a lot if you have to write about social media devices and proliferation of tech in personal life. The medium is a message to who, message to you, right? So how do you perceive me or other people or other folks you see in virtual land? How does your self evolution gets the feedback from them? Okay, these are the nuances. Why, what has changed? These are the whys which we have to go deep, so we come out with simpler lines which encapsulate our point. All those points, by the way, as we develop in the class, will become our dimensions. Okay, I'm trying to bring the practicality back. Okay, so as we grow further, as we reflect, we'll have these thesis, antithesis, synthesis के blocks. These are like big blocks. But उसके अंदर भी तो we'll have to fill, right? उसके अंदर आएंगे our whys, dimensions. वो ऐसे ही निकल के आएंगे. The more you talk, the more you realize. Within those dimensions, you will have examples which closely mimic that dimension and does justice to it. Okay. This is all at thought level. Now, when you have to put out, you will put out and connect them properly with not heavy English, but right analytical framing. That's it. You do this paragraph to paragraph, chunk to chunk, and you're good. Okay. Move to the next slide. Level 3, like I said, this is a level where you guys rankers usually play at this level. This is the level we have to get and maintain. You know the myth of Sisyphus? You guys know the myth of Sisyphus? Sisyphus को एक चट rock दिया था. I mean, you would have seen that guy on the mountain. He has to take a rock up the mountain, ठीक है, and then फिर and complete the full day work, और रात को rock will go back again. So next day start back again, and it goes back again. That's the thing. That's a Sisyphus issue. But if I were to just twist it, what you have to do is, you guys, most of you, I'm sure, are at level one, which basically means you can write good basic English, you can use rhetoric to a decent level, and you can use UPSC like key terms, little bit here and there. Okay, but sometimes you err on one side. You might know the balance, but when it comes to writing, you err on one side so far off that the second side comes like a lip service. So that's your level one, and you've reached, the Sisyphus has reached a level. Now maintain that, don't come down. The next level is level two, when you have to strike a balance between both point of views. Sometimes those point of views are obvious, sometimes they're implicit. So those assumptions you have to figure out. Is there something implicit which I'm not able to understand, but there's an opposing point of view? Okay? And the opposite point of view is are what we call buts. This is right, but that is the thing. And you have to become better at that. At the very least, if you have to score average marks in particular subject, you should know the relevant terms, the relevant tech terms, tag terms, jargons, whatever it is. At the most, as you get to this level 3, you have to play with these things. You have to get into the why. You have to get into the causation, analogies, stuff like these. If you are giving me an example, like I think some girl mentioned this example that, so this is a specific example, Me Too movement, Falana Dikana. But the interesting thing out here was that there was an interesting anecdote of a collector using social media to raise voter awareness. So your examples are giving me ideas about fairness and justice, which are relevant to this question because this question is about democracy. Okay. And then only one person, I think, by the time I was looking at it, only one person was able to synthesize things better. That, what's happening if the speed of the tech is so fast and your civic sense or whatever social civic understanding is so lagging, then a lot is the onus on the government, the regulations, and the citizens' integrity. Okay? That is the synthesis. What do we do next? Am I getting, are you getting the heart of it? Don't worry about if you're not able to get to this point on your own, or if you could get it, but this doesn't happen frequently. But are you getting what's happening? There's a speed with tech and there's a lag with humanity. And so there is to be a central fulcrum, regulations. You would have heard Facebook वगैरह की क्या Senate पे ये सब होता रहता है, right? There has to be regulations and there has to be a citizenry integrity, या citizen level पे workshops, awareness campaigns and whatnot. Because you can't stop the tech for the advantage. You cannot also live with the disadvantages of tech. This is what the middle ground is. Synthesis statements are basically your what next? What is the next thing that we can do? I know that, Taj Mahal to nahi banne wala, या I'm not going to get that सभी को मुकम्मल जहां नहीं मिलता वाला जहां तो नहीं मिलेगा. But what's the next best thing we can arrive at? So synthesis, when you will mature, you will see one level of synthesis is just, let's balance both things together. Let's have these, inculcate these things, vagara, vagara, just the Buddha's middle path done universally. The second level of synthesis is when you put things into a sequence, right? Like you remember there was this question, this year's paper around war and diplomacy. So the idea is not that we have to balance war and diplomacy. Obviously, you have to balance, but can you go one step deeper? That there are these new tools and these new negotiation techniques or these new techniques which have come, and there's an order of things. Till you reach war and you reach basic and you start from basic diplomacy, there's a whole gray area that you have to travel. That's second kind of synthesis. The third kind of synthesis, and I might get better at it at this, by the way, as we go further with this with this course. But third kind of synthesis, when you bring another third particle or a third anchor or another external anchor to balance these two things. कि left to themselves ये कुछ नहीं होगा. There has to be a third thing which balances. Right? Left to these two siblings, they'll keep fighting, whatever, and or a parent has to intervene or a mentor has to intervene, something like that. Okay, you got it? अभी तक clear है? You guys understand the level 3? This is ranker level, okay? You got it right? This is actually ranker level, by the way. Pick anyone's copy, and more often than not, IS, IPS, or ये सब छोड़ो, but mostly people at this level they get a rank. Okay, that's true. Is it okay with everyone? I need yeses, yeah. You're on a class. That's the least you can do. Put your fingers and type these 6 letters with the space in between. Cool. Any question you have right now? 50-50. That's cool. We can live with that. Any questions you have? Click dena. Yeah, Ayushi. Ayushi, you can raise your hand up. Yep, go ahead. And you have to put your video on now if you're asking a question, please.
So my question was, like I was going through the essay question this year, and that was like better experiences give us the best lesson. So as you said, that the level 3, which denotes that where we can synthesize a balance between that. So actually I was brainstorming that part. So I found that maybe at the conclusion part or something like where we have to give our opinion. So can we give there that, okay, if it is about it's only the experiences which teach us, and it depends on the people how they're taking them. It can be the better experiences as well. It can be the good experiences as well. So will that be the same thing you're talking about here? Like I
Yeah,
want to
like
get a
getting a
clarity.
third thing. Getting a third thing, yes. Yes. It's not about the experiences. It's not about the outward reality. It's about who you are as a person and how rooted you are to your vision. What is it that you want? That question is similar to the question I think I gave in last year's Smash that mind has its own weather. Sunny days are not guaranteed by clear skies. Something like that. Okay? And even if your outward reality is completely fine, everything is so hunky dory, that also doesn't mean that your internal reality would be reflective of that. Okay? But in that question of bitter experiences being the best ones, you have to be the why. Okay? We're at the why here, right? You have to be able to demarcate what part of character or experiences or lessons are taught by the bitter ones. Why are they able to teach you that? Correct? Because they, remove distractions and all that. You're focused in, take care, you're constrained, and this forges the character. And in the good side, you don't need always bitter experiences. What happens when you have support system, community, etc., all the good stuff? उससे क्या होता है? So you put things into perspective and then you add another third anchor, and that is a synthesis. That's it. Anyone else? Synthesis part समझ नहीं आया, कोई problem नहीं है. I mean, this class is not about synthesis, so I'm just freewheelingly taking things as they come. I'll teach these things. Yes, Akriti.
Sir, I was asking about the synthesis only. Like I always feel I kind of deviate from the main topic if I'm saying something like this. Like, say in this topic, bitter experiences, when we moved from experience itself and into something else, didn't we somewhere change the topic itself? Like that is the doubt I always
Oh,
have while doing this.
got it. No, 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 no. That's not the thing. You're moving in a very logical fashion, moving upward. Okay? That's that's the beauty, right? Even forget essays, even your GS questions, there are a lot of implicit demands that you have to uncover. So if someone is just looking at literal things, they'll just do what is literally asked. Okay? Because they'll not lean in on the directive. That directive assumes that you will be able to figure out some implicit demands and then write on them. It's the same issue with Smash means GS answers as well. In the essay, you're just given one line. Boss, there are so many assumptions that you're supposed to uncover. So you have to go through that. And there is honestly no formula. There is a formula. TAS is one way. That's the only framework which reflective essays के साथ जो does justice करता है. But otherwise, it's a lot of you have to build your muscle around this. Okay, so someone asked me again, 2025 kids, one of the Smash students asked me ki, so now everyone would know TAS and they would apply this TAS framework. So should I apply something else? I'm like, no, not everyone applies TAS in the right way. And it's something which mature people apply it way much better than, people who've just heard about it or read a PDF, etc., etc. Siddharth, how to collect quote and stories? I will give you everything. I mean, I'll give you everything. I'll give you quotes within the context. So the why you get it. So you don't have to spend a lot of time on these things apart from the classes and the PDFs you'll get. Anything else? I'll take tasks separately. I'm not going to go into the details of tasks. And by the way, I've spoken so much about it. There's so much material outside on the group as well. So yeah, we'll be covering all the thinkers. So by the way, we will be covering thinkers and themes which have recurringly come in the essays, not just essays, even a little bit in the ethics. because UPSC wants you to go deep. Otherwise, it asks you about Thiruvalluvar, right? The Thirukural quote, trouble, trouble. And then it has asked about Clausewitz also. It has given you the names, name dropping here. So obviously, someone who would know about these people and their context would be able to write a better answer. Okay? Always be prepared for the extra mile. So we will be doing thinkers across different segments, justice, power, liberty, and whatnot, life in general. And one more thing I'm missing. I'll remember. Okay. Anyway, so level 3 is clear, I hope, right? I'll just quickly revise level 1, level 2, level 3. We quickly move. Level 1, we all know, we've been there. It's very foggy. You're just writing something. This is what, you usually, other mentors or other academies say that kuch bhi bhar ke aa jao. Don't just leave things. कुछ भी कुछ भी लिख दो वहां पे कीवर्ड मैच कर दो. This is what we used to do in engineering also. Like I did electronics. So if you don't understand what's happening, you'll just redraw the same diagram and just add some current flow. And that will give you a few marks, but nothing more. Level 2 is when you're slightly coming out of age. You understand both sides. You know what it's like. You've read things so much. It's your rote learning personified for UPSC. Now you know things. Now if I ask you, hey, social media, like yes, deepfakes, AI, falana, tikana, sab kuch, patak do sab kuch. Okay, and don't think about it. So you'll get some average marks depending upon the mood of the examiner. Level 3 is when you start showing your maturity in everything. Okay, none of this is rocket science. It's just a matter of rigorous practice and your attention. Okay, now I thought let's have a simple thing how you segue. So level 1 is like one-sided, but you use UPSC terms and you're good. ठीक है, लेवल 1 तो सबको ही होना चाहिए अक्रॉस ऑल द सब्जेक्ट्स. तो लेवल 1 भी अचीव नहीं है तो दिक्कत है एंड दैट्स प्रॉब्लम. ठीक है, यूएपी स्टूडेंट्स हु आर हियर, मेक श्योर यू दिस sharp. Level 2 is where you add basic duality, add basic level tasks, as we realize, basic thesis and antithesis, basic stuff, and opposite views with examples, preferably from the modern times. So even at level 2, you can use that IES example or whatever examples you're seeing in your current affairs, whatever, everyday newspaper or weekly compilation, Samachar Manthan, or burning issues if you're studying from us. Okay. Level 3, mostly we need to add a cause and effect logic. Mostly, this is the logic which works. That why is cause and effect. So you should know the underground principle, and you give a core example basis on that logic, and then you try to synthesize the statements together. Okay, that is level 3. Now you get better in level 3 as you progress further. But this is level 4. And you can sit down, take notice, read it. But it would be better if I read it aloud for you. Democracy depends not only on elections, but also on informed discussion among citizens. Social media has expanded participation. Campaigns like Me Too, farmer protests, and voter awareness drive by Election Commission give voices to the marginalized and widened accountability. Yet the same platforms also amplify echo chambers, deepfakes, and communal polarization, weakening trust in institutions. As Amartya Sen argues, democracy is a dialogue, not noise, and social media generates both. The final impact depends on how government regulate platforms and how aware citizens are while using them. Social media has strengthened the reach of democracy, but has made the quality of debate even more uncertain. Now, I want you guys, and each one of you should tell me what's the difference in this. You guys can appreciate this paragraph. You know how many words these are? Take a guess. Take a wild guess how many words, don't count. 100 words, chalo. There are 100 words. This is 100 words, but it feels like a lot has been said. Correct? This is the power of the economy of words. By the way, there is no heavy vocabulary here. Can you see? Do you see any word which you have not come across in normal times? There is no heavy vocabulary. All the words which I've highlighted, underlined, are words which are relevant to democracy, social media, I mean relevant to these thematic subjects. They're not vocabulary words. Abhi UPSC ke liye, if you're understanding, if you're reading, These words are going to come your way, even if you read basic newspaper. So those among us who say that, I'm not that fluent in English, I don't have high vocabulary, you don't even need that. This is the level in which in 100 words you convey. Imagine if that elevator pitch dialogue that I gave you just a while ago, this is the most beautiful expression or among the beautiful expression of that. And if you have to write in 150 words, you can now add your flavor to it. You can add a few rhetoric. No one is denying that. So 50 words is what you have for yourself. You can add rhetorics. Yes, Akriti. The stronger the idea is in the head, the better. In fact, I would say the more clarity you have as you grow, the better you will be able to put into paper in simple words. Amartya Sen argues whatever is, you'll get these quotes. So you'll get a quote related to social media or democracy. I mean, you have to, right? These are the pillars that you have to read. Correct? Democracy does not depend only on elections, but also on informed discussions among citizens. This is a trope, not just this, but that. Okay, which is basically me showing both sides of the coin. And I've started from democracy first, not social media. Yeah, because you need to understand the basics, the fundamental of something. Then you will be able to put in place where social media comes and hits. Okay, you have to understand at some level in your foundation classes, wherever you've studied or whatever you've done, or the books that we've studied, you need to understand what democracy is based on. Not just elections, but institutional trust. Not just institutional trust, but a healthy discussion. Tabhi, it was a famous essay topic, right? Indifference is the death of democracy, something like that. There's a famous essay topic just on this. Classic indifference is a death of democracy. So we've expanded the participation with social media because social media has reach and scale and speed. And you have examples right after that, campaigns like Me Too, Farmer Protest, and Voter Awareness by Election Commission. So I've given examples both world over, very local, and from an institutional angle also. It's not that social media is only utilized by citizens and people. It's they're being utilized by institutions also. The legitimacy of social media and the pervasiveness it has is because election commission भी इसी को use करता है, ठीक है? Anyway, and it has given voice to marginalized and widened the accountability. Not just voice has been given, but accountability has been widened of the people who are in power. Correct? We see all that, right? Twitter पे someone raises a request on IRCTC. I've just seen those requests being answered like as they come. Something is wrong in my rail key bogie, and it gets answered. Yet the same platforms also amplify echo chambers, deepfakes, and communal polarization, which weakens the trust in institution. Above all, it weakens the trust in institutions. So I've taken democracy as the thing, and now I'm coming top down. And then Amartya Sen's dialogue, or you can put any other person, any other thinker's dialogue. And then the final impact depends on how government regulate platforms, how citizens are using them, in what maturity. And the duality is still this, that even though it has strengthened the reach, it has made the quality of debate more uncertain, which I think in one of those level 2, level 3, someone mentioned, right, that we're still lagging behind in our maturity with respect to engaging with diverse point of views. That is what is shown to us. That's the mirror that has been shown to us by the social media. This is who you are, guys. You might think of yourself as very rational people, you're not. So this simple 2-paragraph thing in 100 words conveys the core essence of social media cross democracy. And you can write this. If you've gone through level 1, level 2, level 3, you can write this. Forget essays. You can write this questions answer in any of your GS paper. Still have words left out. This is not JE. I mean, this is not rocket science. These are words we've all heard, right? What we have not done is we have not sat down with them and put our head कि एकदम no nonsense preparation करनी है, and I'll consolidate things and to the T, that rigor, that's what's missing. Now compare this with level 3. Yeah, you will be awarded if you put data, fact, and diagram. Not in essay, but in GS, yes. In level 3, while you're still very tight, you're liberal with words. This is also a great level to be at. You get rankers are at this level. Okay. But a few of your papers would be so strong that you would be in level 4 on those papers. Those are like your breakout papers. So from now till December, from September, October, November, you 4 months. Wherever you're preparing, whoever you are preparing with, mains with from, try to keep putting your head into this. This is a thing you have to keep, you don't have to be Sisyphus that वो सारा वो boulder वापस आ जाए नीचे, but you have to keep the boulder at the place and then build. This at Civilsdaily we call deliberate evolution. This is not rocket science, but it's not trivial either. You have to be very deliberate with these things. And I mean, at this point of time, I would like to know, are there people who've been preparing for more than 1 year with decent sincerity? I mean, does it ring bell with you? People who've been preparing for a while. Come on, I mean, because I am not preparing you just for this exam. I mean, just for clearing the mains. These are life lessons here. The more sharper you will become with the underlying assumptions, the whys, the tighter your arguments will become. The more you will do with less work. वो जो सारी philosophy होती है ना, a warrior is a warrior who doesn't fight. All these, we see this esoteric philosophy, China, Japan, India, may, right? You have to be at that level. Say less, do more, make a higher impact, have the smallest surface area, but have the maximum impact. That is how your impact of words should be. So, and this is the first time I am taking Smash essay outside Smash mains or UAP curriculums. We used to have, I mean, and this is my second year of teaching essays, and I only started teaching essays because I could see this reflective thought, beautiful reflective thought, paradoxes, dualities coming in the essay paper. And then as I went deep, I realized it's going in all GS and ethics as well. And same you find in interviews as well. Your interviews are not going to be binary interviews. They would want to engage with you, yeah. They would want to see क्या भरा है दिमाग में, and how much courage you have to actually put it out. And more often than not, what I see is that you guys know things. Like I said, this is not rocket science. You know it. The problem is putting that thing onto the paper, putting it as beautifully and as consistently as you can appreciate. By the way, I used to think, I mean, I'm going on a limb here, but when you read this is not daunting, right? In sense, it's not overwhelming as what a literature. Pratap Bhanu Mehta ke op-eds padhe kisne? Has anyone read Pratap Bhanu Mehta's op-eds, editorials? He used to write on Indian Express. If you read his editorial, you have to read it thrice to understand what he's saying. That intellectual guy packs a lot. This is not, you don't have to be that for UPSC. Okay. But you have to be comprehensively here. There's no other way. Okay. And this is the ideal. You reach for the, shoot for the stars, land on the moon, whatever. You reach for it. You reach, shoot, whatever you reach. Just launch yourself for this trajectory. You'll reach here. And these are good, this is great stuff as well. Or you reach here and this you'll get average marks. I know I screwed up with the quote. But Swami Vivekanand ka ek quote hai that never bring ideal to your level. Keep striving towards the ideal. Never bring it to your level कि ये इतना नहीं करते सिविल्स के लिए, इतनी की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, you don't have to do all this jugglery. क्यों भाई? This is done. This is in front of you. Now you have to practice this in different themes, and then you have to practice putting it down on paper, which you're writing within the time constraints, and then you have to practice. I mean, eventually on the D-Day you have to write. Cool. Anyone on this thing? Any questions? How will we get here? How do we usually get here across papers? Is that we write. There'll be workshops. We'll be writing. Those of you who've joined the full-blown Smash essay and part of the Smash Mains program, you will write the paper. The FLTs will be fully around, so you don't have to write all of them in the 2 months. In fact, write more of them when you mature up. Okay. But anyone, any questions abhi tak? You feeling okay? I mean, some of you would have done Samachar Manthan classes also, so I don't want to tax you. Feeling all right? Yes, no? Okay, anyway. Cool. This was the main central theme of we've not started the class. Okay, so this was the main thing of the class today. The topic on the timetable was understanding PYQs, unpack the metaphors, and uncover the assumptions. Anusha, yeah, batao.
So can you suggest a mental exercise or something whenever we look at a topic or a quote or any question, so that we can build that dialectical thinking even before we put it on the paper? So writing takes practice, right? So
अभी
How
कर
can we
रहे हैं.
develop the thinking first?
We'll do this abhi for the next whatever
Okay.
time we have. Okay. I'll try to do that, and I'll take this for. But I wanted the first session to anchor you not just for the essay but for your whole GS journey. It would be best if you do it with us, the whole thing, so that it ties out completely. But जहाँ से भी कर रहे हो, खुद से कर रहे हो, I don't care. This is the essence of those four levels are the essence of philosophical essence of how you graduate, right? Okay. Fourth को तो भूल जाना, we'll arrive there together or as we graduate further. But तीन तो काफी clear है तुम्हारे को. You can whenever you feel like you can practice that. Whenever you're reading a ranker's paper, always remember that. Keep seeing. And by the way, all of us have all the levels inherent in us, level 1, 2, 3, depending on how what is our strength with respect to a particular paper or subject. So you'll find rankers also dabbling up and down on those levels. Okay. Anyway, okay. So I wanted to do this, and I was just trying to just sitting with this paper. So one thing which I do, exercise which I do, which keeps things upbeat for me and not boring for me, is I just sit with a topic and I just sit with it. I just keep looking at it, right? And I figured out in this year, and we will you see this in 21 to 24 as well. Some of topics have like superlatives. Truth has no color, no color. Like truth is colorless, right? That's a very big statement to say, right? It knows no color, meaning what? It can discern no color, or it doesn't uh what affiliate कहते हैं ना, it doesn't affiliate, it doesn't disregards color. Is truth cold, that it's not empathizing with any color? It just that is not even a variable in truth's vocabulary, right? It's such a superlative statement. Then the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. The supreme art, not the art of war, but the highest mastery of war. Just have fun with what's happening. Best lessons are learned through bitter experience. The best, not the good lessons, or not the thing that you can learn experiences from your bitter. You can learn lessons even from your bitter experiences. जैसे घर वाले बोलते हैं ना, कोई बात नहीं, in this हार में भी जीत छुपी होती है वगैरह. No, bitter experiences, best lessons. Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. Again, a superlative. When do we, and you might have seen my video where I've gone gung ho on this, but in our prelims exams, we develop this sense of spotting the exaggerations, right? Superlatives, right? Same thing. It is best to see life as a journey, not as a destination, right? I'm not taking a class on this, but keep this as an anchor for your head, as a mind exercise. Whenever you see a quote or a statement where there's an extreme suggested, boss, you can argue back and forth. The whole culture in India, if you've read Argumentative Indian by Amartya Sen, or if you've heard about that book, is that we don't take things lying down on the face value. At least not in social media. We might take things lying down in our houses from our parents, but we don't do it in social. We fight it out. Okay, cool. We'll take things one by one now. Supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. I've given the literal meaning of the words. Tell me how do you unpack the metaphor? War, supreme art, without fighting. What can it more mean than just this, that you don't have to fight a war, brutal war, and you can win it without other means? What else can this mean? What is a supreme art? Unpacking the metaphor basically mean that you look at the words used here, which you find are keywords of this sentence. Jैसे we do in the GS paper, right? Theme and demand. So we try to figure out what's the theme, what is the demand. Some demands are very explicit, and there are some demands which are implicit. Okay. In this, what do you think are the keywords? Yeah, supreme art. Do you understand art of war is such a, what do they say, oxymoron? War is supposed to be brute, go and kill. And the art of war is supposed to be what? Draw on a canvas, brush strokes rather than sword strokes. Okay, some people, when you see a sentence, you quickly jump to examples. This is what we need to stop. I mean, we can't stop it, but example comes, just park them aside. Okay? Aman Mishra, bestest skill. Most efficient, yes. I'll read something. If I find something good, I'll stay. Convince the enemy that we're not a threat. Okay. Because these topics will give you some references to your GA studies or current affairs also, so I can understand why we quickly jump onto things. Art is creative crisis management. Yeah. Yes. War is not just the war of battle, it's conflict, it's daily conflicts. Those conflicts can happen in societies, nations, those conflicts can happen within you, right? Have you ever thought like that? There's a principle you all should write. One, if you see a statement and if you see it applying to an individual or to a nation or world at large, trust me, that statement applies to all of them. You just have to be creative enough to see कैसे वो individual पे apply होती है, कैसे society पे apply होती है, कैसे nation, कैसे international people. Okay, it's a principle. You can write it for yourself. It's a principle that a statement, like there was a question that a nation's geography is its destiny. And I mean, you would agree to me when I say that India's geography prevents those cold winds. You've studied in geography. Russia and Ukraine has no relief features between their borders, and so the nonsense happens. US has oceans on both sides, and so protected decently. But is that all? No, there's so many other factors, right, in deciding a nation's destiny. Now we'll argue that if we were to build an essay on that. But if I were to flip it to individual level, can you tell me how that quote will flip to an individual? Nation's geography is its destiny. Can you flip this to an individual? We'll come to this in a bit. We'll come to this topic. Supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. But can you flip that and get used to this way of classes? Okay, because essays do not have a fixed lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 10. I'll keep going back and forth with any connection which I can make so that you guys get familiar with the chaos that is UPSC and the rigor that it wants still. That's the paradox with which you live in or we live in. कुछ भी पूछ सकता है and it still wants you to make an order out of the chaos. Okay? Yes, Pratik. Person's birthplace affects destiny. Correct. That is the exact one of the meanings of geography. You're born with the geography. A nation is born with the geography, right? Imagine India, where you're born with your birth, caste, networks, whatnot. And by and large, people say that they become the destiny or they play a big part in your destiny. But we've seen so many people moving beyond that, so many external factors which are helping education, etc., which help you move beyond that. So that's a good thing. Whoever wrote that, whoever could come to that. इसलिए लिखो class में. If I'm giving you any prompt, think and write it on the comment. Pratik, great. Jayant, great. I mean, you were there, but you. So now you guys are there. I mean, this is not rocket science, right? But you have to nail it. You have to nail the things and keep nailing it day after day. Yeah. So other people who are writing, we become in what company we are the average of the 5 people we meet, etc., are the other factors. Just like nations, geography is not the only thing which decides its destiny. It has a weight, and then there are a few more things. Essay, an individual's birth might have a weight, and then there are other things. Okay, cool. As we grow more reflective, we think about, right, what else could war mean? War is just not the brute battle, but it's like politics, economics, personal struggles also. What would subduing without fighting look like here? Ritaj, Abhi, put on the comment. I'll just come back to everyone after I'm done with a certain thing, right? Geography can be physical body. Okay. Yeah, you can. Guys, I mean, this is interpretive thing, right? Geography can also be physical body. You're correct. That's a good point. Basically, in that question, geography are those things which you're just born with. So you're born with a family, you're born with your physical body as well, right? Next level. Do you know the example of someone born with a and I'm talking about Hindu scriptures, born with a very deformed body, but is very well known? In fact, there's an Upanishad, Ashtavakra. So, supreme art of war, if the statement is right, that supreme art of war is that art where you can subdue the enemy without fighting, that basically means you're rendering the war nonsensical, right? You create certain situation where the war loses its meaning. The war, as we know, loses its meaning. And what is the supreme art of war? Something which ensures peace. Supreme war, or the supreme way in which you fight a war, would ensure timeless peace, right? Peace for a long time. And peace को सिर्फ peace मत लेना, but like peace, like, or whatever was your bidding you want to get done, and that should stay for longest time. ठीक है? Now, thought experiments, okay, in this class. What are the two extremes where this can happen? I want to win over you or your territory for the longest possible of time. I want my rule to be there. What are the two extremes that can happen? Yes. One, nuclear nation. Yeah, either I nuke you, I decimate you completely through and through, nothing remains, and then you're mine. Troy, there is no city like Troy anymore now. Carthage, if you remember history, complete decimation. Or I win you over as a friend, right? Or you're my friend, or we're one together. We've find so many connect. We're just one people now. Correct? Between that is the whole gray area which comes. Or if I don't kill you completely, or if I don't decimate you completely, I make the possibilities of war so horrendous for you that you and your generations can't even think of raising a voice against me. This is when I show brute realities in every choraha or town square, and you can't. Or I play a psychological war. Slowly and slowly, I erode your institutions. And that is one of them is called colonization of your mind, right? Ashish Nandi was a great, I don't think he's anymore, but I'm not sure, but he's a great Indian sociologist slash other disciplines also. And he wrote beautifully about colonization of Indian mind. We'll read that in theory, but I'm just dropping you a thing. Britishers चले गए, but होता है ना, अंग्रेज चले गए, but अंग्रेज ये छोड़ गए. This is common stuff. There's nothing rocket science here, but it makes sense for you to sit down with these things, unpack the metaphor, unpack the assumptions. अभी हम task पे पहुंचे भी नहीं हैं. But just sit with them. Sit with these nuances. Obviously, sanction, all these things are also there. Supreme art of war in modern times, you have economic sanctions, you have information war, you have cyber warfare, you have institution at the world stage, which prohibit you to act recklessly. You can't just do whatever in war if you want, right? But if you want your rule to be legitimate, right, meaning it should not be challenged by internal rebellions, etc., etc., then you have to apply all these things. So you think through the metaphors. And this question was a paraphrased quote from Sun Tzu. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. That's the statement's perspective. Chanakya, you remember? Chanakya had 4 ways: Sam, Dan, Dand, Bhed. Dand is the war, punishment. War, don't take war literally, punishment. Sam is conciliation, diplomacy. Dan is gifts, all those, China, tariff war का anti कर लो, FTA वगैरह वगैरह. Bhed is division, hail Britishers, what they did to India. And Dand is the war, right? So war, do not just think of actual brute war, it's all kind of conflicts. Supreme art would be something which settles that conflict, which has the possibility of settling the conflict for the longest amount of time, ensuring peace. Okay? Without fighting. Basically, meaning literal taken without any bloodshed. Okay? And metaphorically, बताओ क्या होता है without fighting का? Okay, just reading, but tell me, without fighting metaphorically means who? Winning hearts and minds, yes. Do you remember any example? Now, by the way, as we do this exercise, you'll also remember examples where this particular assumption will fit the bill. Guys, am I making sense to every one of you? We're not solving the essay yet. We're just trying to think through. We're trying to fine tune our thinking. Ideological win, yes. So, in ancient India, if I defeat you in a debate through and through, I think there was a debate between Shankaracharya and Mandan Mishra. Defeat you in the debate, then the rules of civility were such that now you will be converted to my ideology. ठीक है? You do not say कल को जाके अरे नहीं, it was just a fluke. You won't say something like that. Use of soft power, yes, Shishadri. And these will, Shastrarthi, yeah. And these will all come in those psychological things. Soft power, deliberate. तो ये जितने सॉफ्ट पावर होंगे ना, इनके वेट्स होते हैं, दे आर ऑल वेट्स, दे आर वेटेड थिंग्स, बट यू विल गेट आर्ग्यूमेंट्स टू दैट, ठीक है. एंड एज यू कीप गेटिंग बेटर इन अटेम्प्टिंग एसेज, you will be able to put dimensions in certain hierarchy. Like in this question, you won't put soft power just upfront, wow, because soft power does things when other things are also moving in the right direction. Left alone to soft power, so India Pakistan is a very big failure, right? We did a lot for the soft power thing. Yeah, we got their artist over to us, like whatnot, right? So think critically like this, and you'll get there. Trust me. If it's appearing overwhelming right now, it won't be like that. You'll understand automatically. That's the power of developing critical thinking. You'll understand what are the different dimensions here and which dimension rules the roost. That's it. That's where we go. And then once you understand the dimensions and those point of thinking, you'll automatically bring the right example to prove your point and then link it back. ये visualize हो पा रहा है, right? I mean, I need a yes because I need. If you guys still feel that I am going faster and this is not right, let me tell you two things. One, we haven't still started writing essays or anything. I just want to develop your stream of thoughts. And थोड़ा challenge अगर मिल रहा है, keep that challenge up. Things should not be spoon fed. Yeah, war can be anything. Social, any conflict. War is any conflict, external or internal. Simple. That's it. How corporates fight wars. Talk about that. How corporates are fighting the AI war, right? And as you get better, you will be able to use these catchphrases like capitalism in the corporate wars. Capital becomes the moat. What is a moat? Between the fort and the enemy ground. Moat is that ditch which would prevent you to just keep walking up. I mean, just walk up. So capital becomes the moat. In India and in US, wherever, startups lose because the other startup has outpaid your employee. He's left you for money. He likes your ideology, he likes you as a founder and everything, but he's been outpaid. Yeah, Apple versus Microsoft. So capitalism becomes the moat. We'll start using these phrases as they will come in newspapers or in our discussions. Cool. We'll do one more. Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. We'll come to these PYQs, and this is how we do PYQs, by the way. We just keep discussing this. You will get a model answer to the PYQs, by the way. So you can just study in your own peacetime. Okay? But just understand. Tell me, this is a literal translation. Muddy water, disturbed, unclear, opaque. You can't see. Think of a beaker. It's all mud, leaving it alone, meaning no interference. And assumption is that clarity will return through agitation. Not through agitation, but through keeping it alone. Muddy water. What are the metaphors which comes to your mind when you think of muddy water? You guys, if you're hungry, you can eat something. I've been speaking for so long. Muddy water, elections. Okay. Yeah, great. Now you are thinking both external and internal. That's good. So muddy water will be both external situations and internal mind situations also, right? That's good. And someone who wrote UCC. So any policy done in a haste or any decision taken in a haste by our government will get muddy waters. Unsettling, communal or yeah, cool. Okay, so awesome. So now you know so much. So now you know that in all the muddy waters that you wrote, what all can be cleared by leaving it alone and why? Why? Why would they be cleared by leaving it alone? One, if the environment is cordoned off, if there's no other elements entering the environment of that muddy water, right? That's one condition. Second condition, if that has a self-correcting mechanism, correct? There are some chemicals which will not self-correct. Okay. Third is that why would you be able to leave it alone? If you have a lot of other things which are going good for you, then you can leave a problem alone. If you're a strong nation or if you're a powerful individual and you have like a lot of stuff going for you, then you can leave one thing alone. If you have a stock portfolio, like 10 stock portfolios, even if one tanks down, you will say, yeah, let the market course correct. Okay? But if you don't have that, if you have just one portfolio, then you'll be up for a toss, right? If that goes down, then this wisdom cannot be expected from you, and this won't even work for you. Right? Yeah, Tanya. Okay. Climate change, someone said. Now, certain situations or certain natural conditions, till they reach a particular threshold, they can self course correct. Right? But the moment you breach certain KPIs, certain indexes, then nature goes for a toss. Those ecological balances which go for a toss, they'll never be recovered back again on their own, right? We know these things from GS paper, right? Mota mota, we know this way to talk, correct? And so in certain solutions, you have to add an external element. Let's say potash, you have to add on a in certain muddy solution. It will quickly calm the situation down if it's needed. This is how you need to think. This is how you need to think. Do you have time for leaving it alone? There's another fifth problem which comes. Are you actively looking at the solution which you have left alone? Are you an active, is it an active restraint? Or you've just left it and you've gone? Because then what can happen is that situation might spiral into something even more monstrous, right? Imagine all the social situations in India where the government didn't act, or a particular society or a particular whatever, community did not act about it. They thought, let it happen. And that kept festering till it becomes so big that you could not handle it. So when you read news, as you go through your day, these things will keep coming to you. So Anusha, to your question, this is how you keep thinking. You read a news. I would suggest, personally speaking, PYQs of essay ना अपने साथ में ना लगा के रखो. जैसे, for our parents, they have these mantras or whatever, good wise sayings and whatnot, right? ज्ञान की बातें जो 2 लाइन की saying होती है. They keep it in their homes or in their whatever workplace or whatever. For you, it should be these reflective essays. You keep reading something on the tangible side, example side, daily current affairs side. You keep remembering, keep looking at that, something will keep clicking. I'm telling you, that's how it actually happens. So this is like a forever activity. What we do in classes is we put that thing down on the paper, make sure it's analytically tight, and you don't forget. Okay, so we did this. I think natural systems gone rogue also we did. I'll just read if anyone has any interesting point to say. Can we also make an argument that in some situations, muddy is better than clean? Tell me, Rohit, what situation would that be? Or anyone, or anyone who can add to this argument. Okay, let's do this as an exercise. Tell me situations where muddy is actually preferred than clean. Now you've set yourself for a very high thought. Okay, I'll drop this on the letter and spirit group. Once I drop this, you guys can just put down, okay? And I'll drop the whole prompt also. क्या सोचना है, कैसे करने का है. But this is the higher metaphor that you're coming at now. And beautiful. If someone has that, आप कर सकते हो तो करो. And I'll try to review all of most of your things. There was a question on not all who wander are lost. And that question, basic muddy water is what? Something where there is no order which appears. It appears chaotic. It appears random. A wanderer appears random. A mind which is thinking of thesis, antithesis is a random mind on the face of it, right? And how would you eventually say that this is the best mind? Because this is the mind which has the highest probability of arriving at an order, and not the mind which is stale and vegetative and just following an old defined way of doing things. ये समझ में आया? That question in this year which came, truth knows no color, and the way I was unraveling it was, truth knows no color, but we humans see nothing but colors, divisions of different kind, right? We see colors which are tangible, we see colors which are non-tangible, ideas, biases, prejudices, ideologies, and even among us who really want to move away from this. And as we climb in search of the truth, it's difficult because then we see the rarefied shades of these colors. They come in front of us, right in front of us, right? Not just that, this pride which our ego then develops that, hey, I'm moving against the trend and I'm trying to uncolor my vision. That also starts accompanying us. इसको लोग कहते हैं spiritual arrogance. You guys would know about this term, or you can imagine what I'm saying makes sense, right? Right? And if this were not enough, as you move forward in that search of truth, you realize that truth cannot be given to you out in terms of language, which is why Buddha says that, I can't, I'll just teach you what to do, but I cannot say what it is like. Right? Upanishads say that the one who says I know Brahman does not know Brahman. The one who claims, that is what language cannot mediate that experience, that clarity. So all you have is nothing but an upward find. And so if at this point, our All India Uncle Auntie Association people come and look at us, and if they were to give a verdict, they'll see nothing but chaos. They'll see, according to them, the verdict would be that we are dealing with first world problems. I don't know what this huge mockery we've made about life and situation, and they won't get it. But we know, and you can write that, whoever is going through this path, however random they might be appearing right now, they have the highest probability to reach at least some level of those truths or the more rarefied level of truths. Am I making sense here with this? And this is the highest expression of that. You can obviously give Edison's example or other things. But is this making sense to you? Everyone, how many are left? Okay, we started with 130, we just 15 short. This made sense, right? Because this is the highest reflection that you can go. If it doesn't make sense, koi baat nahi. This video would be recorded. You can go through the video again. But this came because one of you commented that what if that muddy water thing is okay? I don't want to clear it by adding any chemical or anything. That is better than what cleared vision is right now. Society thinks that is the cleared vision, right? Among you guys and I'm just going on a slant here, right among you guys are people who've gone through good colleges, had good jobs, and have parked them aside and have taken this plunge. And the clear thing to be done ideally would have been just carry on with the job, dude. And if you want to do social work, just do it on the sides, etc., etc. If you're feeling that you're coming on the UPSC journey and you're failing, and think of all the bad thoughts now for a moment. And it's you, and that muddy water needs to be cleared. Eject out of this journey. But you know in your heart of heart what you're chasing and what you've negated. You know what jiska tumne wo not this kar diya. You know that, and that should always be there in front of you. And if you're listening to anyone, you should listen to people or listen to classes or whatever, where with full awareness, I am now getting closer, or this is the best shot. No binaries, will I get it or not? This is the best shot at clearing my attempt. Best shot. And then because you're reflective, you know that, still nothing can guarantee. So you're okay with this muddy water, this apparent chaos. You're okay with these paradoxes which you're living with, because that's the mark of a most mature man or a woman. There's this famous quote, and obviously this was, I think, rendered in the time of patriarchal era. So the quote goes like, the mark of a mature man is the ability to hold two ideas, both his hands, and still not lose his mind. ठीक है? So apparent clarity नहीं है, but you're able to hold it through. Cool, awesome. We digress, but I think these digressions are good. What I'll do is give the prompt also, so you guys write there, because अभी तो कोई भी नहीं पढ़ पाएगा. Then people will. Lotus analogy is also good. Not quite, but try to write it on the group when I give the prompt. We'll see. And as we get better, we'll have to also figure out what analogies lands the punch quicker and faster. ऐसे तो फिर वरना this conversation can also spiral out into बोल बच्चन ज्ञानबाजी. वहां नहीं जाना है. You have to make sure that what arguments will land very fast, will make the point very quick on the paper. Okay, let's do this here. It's been 1.5 hours. Let's break for today. Okay, I have given you, I'll just give you a quick recap of what we've done, so you guys understand and stay put with this thing. This is where most of us are, or we can keep falling into this blurry vision across our papers, across our journey. Okay, and it's okay. You have some idea where you're going, but don't stagnate on that. This is where you have to reach. This is where most of you guys are right now, and that's fine. We have to reach this level 3, or we have to consciously always have an eye for this. Whatever you're doing, whatever material you're reading, whatever paper you're reading, jiski rank ki copy padho, whatever it is, always have an eye for this level, at least this level of detail. Okay? This will come when you spend more time with the subject. This will have to have two things going together. One, your critical thinking, and another, your knowledge. This is not child's play, but this is it. And abhi, it might appear to you that this is so taxing because we have not been this careful with words and expressions in our whole life. So it would appear taxing, and that's okay. But we have to get there. Even if we don't get here, We'll reach levels which are closer, or in some papers we'll reach this level, and this is it. Okay. I don't want to give you any like basic milestones. वो तो anyway we'll reach basic milestone if we don't work hard. उसमें क्या है? वो तो homostasis will anyway reach our homostasis, but strive for these things. So I'll try to always give you such crisp paragraphs when I write content. ठीक है? That's why content थोड़ा ना आगे पीछे आएगा, but people who joined us, I mean, stay with us for the long haul. Don't worry about that. Cool. This is it. Now, everything else, now in the subsequent classes, we move faster, or as we feel, as the group moves, and hopefully we'll have fun. Are you guys okay? Does it make sense? Is this what you were expecting? Now give me the comments because I want feedback so that I can prepare the next session accordingly. So don't give me personal queries right now. And you would not be able to contact with me personally just yet. Is there a specific group for this batch? There's no specific group as yet. I'll think if I need it, but most of the things we'll do in the class, or we'll have some Google Forms spread across where you can submit your assignments, etc. And then I'll have a look, and then accordingly in the next class I'll select the best copies or the best stuff, and I'll discuss on them. If I could speak a bit louder, I had this. Was it not? I'm probably was away from my desk in bits and pieces, but am I not audible clearly? I'm audible, right? I have a Rode mic to make sure that the voice or fidelity is fine. You will get the recording of this session, yes. Okay, but this is a slightly different way of teaching. This is not a linear way of teaching, right? Because this exam demands that level of maturity. So I'll only go like this. Okay. The PDF content which I give you will be very simple. Will be like we'll go lesson by lesson, or when I develop things on the micro themes, I'll make sure that you have building blocks and you can have reusable material in your essays, etc., etc. But in the classes, part of the session would be my monologue. Part of that would be our discussion. That is why I try to attend all live classes. Trust me, even though recorded lectures would be available, there is no substitute for live. Okay. Can time change like 9? अरे नहीं यार, 7 ही होगा. I'm sorry. Or it's going to happen on Mondays or weekdays only. So okay, awesome, great having you guys here. And it's late in night, so break out now. And whatever is heavy, or if it's making sense, I would suggest take the next 10 minutes, go through your notes, whatever you made in this thing. This PDF would be available on the Test Press platform. Okay, so you can download in a day or two. I'll make it available there. Videos will also be available there. Yeah, everything would be provided. Everything. Don't worry about that. I had to share something else. Oh, damn. Wait. You guys would have gotten the email with the rough timetable of what classes we're going to have. Those things might change a little. See, I try to give the best possible way to crack the core of the essay. So अगर मुझे लग रहा है, if I feel that certain micro themes should be clubbed or certain things should be explained more, I'll do that. That is like my subjective prerogative. Okay. My link of Telegram, please someone share from here. Okay. And what else? I'll give you books to read, but you don't have to. If you have time, if you feel like if you already have a feel of reading, go through them. Otherwise, not needed as such. I'll give you the stuff. I'll give you the collected wisdom from the books that I have read for this. So this first session felt like a bit haphazard for me, maybe because I'm new to this. Yeah, Shivanjali, it might look haphazard slightly, but you'll get used to it. The other alternative is to bore you to death by just doing linear classes, which are pretty simple, which I could even give you a PDF. Khudi, you can read it by yourself. Won't help. Get used to a little bit of challenge. It always helps. Okay. Can we have a recap of previous class through one page of PDF? Will be helpful to connect. Yeah, you can do that and you can share it with me and I'll share it with the lab. I'm not going to give you a recap one pager. Okay, cool then. Awesome. Great. Have a good night. Take care. We'll see you again. We'll meet again. People who are part of the other programs. I'll have more sessions internally regarding to other stuff. Maybe I'll try to take GS mains PYQs as well, which have this level of depth. I'll try to take it with Shubham sir and other faculty members as well. By the way, one thing I missed, and I have to get this thing. One topic, which came this year. I hope it's not that late that you guys can't stay. So this is one of the, we have an internal company group. So Shekhar sir, who teaches ethics, keep sharing interesting things. And I was trying to see this essay. It is best to see life as a journey, not as a destination, and just stay put with this essay for a while. And this interesting Japanese analogies came out, right? So you would have heard of this thing, ikigai. Most of you, market is flooded with that book, right? What is ikigai? Just one word, quickly. Purpose of life. Wabi sabi is like, how we see the world. I think those imperfections and all that, and the perfections in that. There's this new word, even I didn't know about this, which is called kurashi. It's a Japanese word which is neither about perfection nor about aesthetics, but it just talks about paying attention. 2 days of your life. So I was trying to do a metaphorical analysis of this. It is best to see life as a journey and not as a destination. The most important word in this phrase is life itself. How many shades of life can you think of wherein you can draw the distinction between a journey and a destination? You can compare life with happiness, and that is why most of the people wrote it, because there was a PYQ on happiness, but that's limiting. Okay, and if you read this, what do you do when you pay attention to something on a daily level? You evolve with it. You find the interconnections. Trust me, your ability to engage with, regardless if you have your philosophic as an optional or not, your ability to engage with essays will develop you as a much mature individual than you ever have been before. This topic itself is such an engaging topic that essay to likh hi loge, but if you go down with it, life, and I was just writing down, life, take it to wise life. What is life? Life is all about learning and growth, right? The growth mindset which we have in the startup. So when startup starts looking at some problem as against to old traditional business, which they look at problems, startups try to look at problem in very different ways. They have this growth mindset, solving one problem very quickly, hustling through. It's growth mindset as against to positive mindset, right? Life sometimes is a mirror to you. Life sometimes presents questions to you. Life sometimes comes as like a tapestry, where if you look closely, you will see the connections. And these things you can only see if you're going through the journey yourself. If you're fixated on a destination, then that journey is nothing but a means to that end. In which case, this journey becomes nothing but transactional. It's a tool. You have to do it. If it were up to you, you'd snap this journey, go to the end. Okay? And you miss all these subtle ways of looking at life. So life is, we'll go to this, but I just wanted to tell you that someone asked here, how do I live these things on a daily level? This is how you do. Whenever you look at something, you come across a good book, you come across as a good news, not good news, but whatever current affairs, try to see where it maps. So as a practice, write down all the essay topics from 2021 to 2025 on a piece of Excel, okay, with the years intact. Take a printout, put it in front of you. It'll do good to you. Do that as a practice. We'll come back to this again in detail. That's it. That's all I wanted to share, and I remembered. Okay. Great having you guys here. Good night. Take care. We'll meet again. Bye.